Okay. So it's still there are 3-4 minutes. We have, how many people are there? Namaskar to all of you, and welcome to this half an hour discussion. Uh, I'm supposed to speak on economic and the tax relief packages for taxpayers to combat this COVID-19. Uh, I will be sharing few of my thoughts with you, and thereafter we can take few questions. I may like to answer those questions for you. See, there is the pandemic started. We started with a basic proposition of save lives, but with save lives, save livelihood also become more and more relevant, because this COVID is making two types of challenges for the entire nation. First is the medical challenges, and the second is the economic challenges. The medical challenges itself is an issue. Still, we were not able to have a concrete drug or vaccine for this disease. But economic challenges are, the economy is started getting the heat of these lockdowns, as well as the days forward which we are going to have from now onwards to for next 6 months, 7 months, 1 year, whatever it is. So the economic issues are there. So primarily I am going to speak on the economic issues. In save livelihood, as per one estimate, and I will give you the reason of that estimate, the unemployment rate is a cause of concern. In the March second week, the unemployment rate was something around 8% in our country, which is around 25-26% now. So it had increased by 3 times. So there are 44 crore registered employees for calculating that unemployment rate. So if unemployment rate increased by around, we can say around 12-13%, then naturally, what is the 12-13% of 44 crore? It comes out as around 5 crore plus. So after the lockdown announcement in last 4 weeks, more than 5 crore people, as per CMIE, that is Center for Monitoring of Indian Economy, had lost their jobs. So 5 crore people had lost their jobs, and primarily the first sector which got a severe pain because of this is the MSME sector, that is micro, small and medium enterprises sector. Second thing, what should be the way forward for MSME, or for that matter for other sector, because the jobs and the employment is a big cause of concern for all of us. So time and again, me myself and my party, we had gave some suggestions to the government. We demanded that for next 3 months, that is for the month of April, May and June, the 75% of the salary of MSME sector has to be borne by the government. Because as per one survey which I read in a pink newspaper, they, as per that survey, in Uttar Pradesh itself, 90% of MSMEs were not able to pay salary for the month of March 2020. So that is the only scenario for Uttar Pradesh. For the other states are also not going to be different. They are also going to have more or less the similar issues. So first is the MSME. We asked for a particular, the number one, that 75% of the salary for next 3 months of this sector has to be paid or reimbursed to the MSME sector by the government. The second issue, which is more relevant, is the job retrenchments are going on. Whether you take the example of airline industry, hospitality industry, whether you take an example of construction industry, IT industry, and from all these industries, we are getting an news that there is a massive job retrenchments which are going on. And if there is, for example, if there is no job retrenchment, if you are able to save the job, the salary cuts are so big that 30 to 50% of salary cuts we are reading across the sector. So for that, we had suggested to the government that for next 6 months the government has to ensure, it's not the moral advice which government has to give that please don't retrench the people. You have to ensure that for next 6 months, that is up to September 2020, there will be no job retrenchment in neither the corporate nor in any other organizational form. So job retrenchment, if you are going to stop, and MSME you are going to provide salary support, then this unemployment numbers which had increased to 5 crore plus in last 3 weeks, 5 crore plus people had lost their jobs, we can provide some remedy to them. Then the question comes, sir, what is the fiscal implications of both the issues? So I had done the calculation, and the fiscal implication comes out something around 1.5% to between 1.5% to 2% of GDP. So for saving the jobs of 5 crore plus people, 5 crore plus people means if every employee is having 4 members, then around 20 crore population, for giving them relief, if we can't incur 1% or 1.5% of our GDP, then what is the use of that particular GDP? Third thing, which the economic issue which I want to highlight, and time and again we had discussed about that, is about the food security. There is a big scarcity of the food at the daily wage earners kitchen, whether it's a grain or pulses or vegetable. And all of you might have noticed that the floor prices or the prices of the vegetable had increased by at least 70% in last 4 weeks time. So if I have a pre-COVID prices and post-COVID price right now, whether it's a potato or tomato or atta or moong dal, that got increased, and these things are going out of the approach of the common person. So we had demanded time and again that to save the people, that they should not have a problem of hunger, we demanded that 10 kg of grain should be given to every house, to every person every week till September. And based on our capacity to hold grain, we can do this thing. It is not going to be impossible. That capacity is there, and we can achieve that particular level. So this is about uh, the grain, the food issue. Then coming to the large corporates, and large corporates we call something as the corporates which are of strategic importance. You might have seen my party and my leadership had uh, made a concern of the foreign investment in our blue chip companies, and government had recently come out with a circular that uh, any foreign investment in a blue chip or any other company requires a government prior approval. So that is also very much required. And for large corporates, they require a direct relief in their tax. Relief in the tax can be given in 2 3 ways. Number one, that the losses of this COVID can be allowed to be taken, carried forward for more than 8 years' time, so that I can carry it forward for later. If I have the profit in the later years, I can adjust these losses which I had incurred in these years. I can set off these losses. Number one. Number two, to save the balance sheet of the large corporates or companies, we should it should be allowed that the booking of losses should be stopped. It should not The booking of the losses should not be charged immediately to their reserves and surplus. This will help the companies to save their reserves and surplus, and they will be not going to be they are not going to have a negative valuation in the days to come. And the third point, or the third sector as far as the economy issues are concerned, is the gig economy. What I mean by gig economy, it means self-employed freelancers, cab drivers, delivery boys. So there is no one who can provide them the financial assistance, because they are not directly employed by neither a company or a small MSME. So they are currently displaced and have lost their livelihood without any future. So we have to safeguard these, and this number is great. Is in the last 10-15 years, the number of the gig economy employees are also going to increase so much. So that gig economy also we have to take it forward. So these are few issues on the economic side. On the taxes side, for the middle class, like a person like me or many of you, there are two, three issues which are of grave concern to all of us. Number one, our job security should be ensured, because once the situations will be normal, whether we are going to have that job is a concern right now for many of us. So for job security, I gave some of my ideas. And the second thing which I had mentioned to you, that the salary cut for some time should be stopped, because at this time of crisis, when the lives are also a big threat, then at this time of crisis, having a problem in livelihood will be a double blow to an individual or to a family. So to stop the second blow, the government should ensure that there should be no retrenchment or salary cut at least till September 2020. And the third point which I had mentioned is about the food security, because many of the migrant laborers which are there at different places, whether it's at the in some camps at the state boundaries, or whether they are in a camps in the major metros, the food security is a concern. So for that we demanded that 10 kg per week per person a wheat or rice, plus 1 kg of pulse per week, plus 1 kg of sugar per week should be distributed free of cost to these daily wage earners. And last but not the least, the rural economic challenges are also very grave, because right now we are at the conclusion of our rabi season, and the crop is ready to sell in the market. So the government has to ensure that they should procure the crops first thing at the doorsteps of the farmer, because farmers are having problem to get that crop cut and come with that crop to the city centers or town centers or the mandi centers to sell those particular crops. So the government has to ensure that this rabi output can be procured first of all at the doorstep, and second at MSP plus 25%. although government is not giving MSP also till now, but it should be MSP plus 25%, because there are many people who were able to go from the urban centers to the rural centers, and if you are not going to provide adequate liquidity and adequate money in the hands of the rural economy, then the economy is not going to rotate. So to rotate the economy, to generate the demand, the money should reach in the hands of the farmers. And to have that thing, to ensure that thing, we are demanding, number one, the procurement should be at the doorsteps of the farmer, and second, it should be procured at MSP plus 25%. And this MSP should not be the false MSP, it should be the MSP as per the Swaminathan Commission guidelines. So this is about the rural economy. So I and our country is ready to cooperate and support to the government, and we supported and we are going to support in the days to come. But we require a greater transparency and proof of detailed planning supported with data for our economy to come out of this pandemic, both in short term and in long term. Because it is a matter of dreams of all of us, 130 crore people. So we expect that government is going to listen few of the suggestions regarding the distribution of grain 10 kg per week per person, regarding giving the cash support to the farmers in the form of MSP plus 25% for this Rabi output. Mind it, if you are able to get this procurement, the money is going to reach in the rural economy and demand is going to be generated in the rural economy. And then once the demand is going to be generated in rural economy, the rotation is not going to be blocked. And number three, for the middle class and for the salaried class people, we have demanded that cause of concern is not the tax. We are not asking the tax relief for us. We understand that you require tax to run the relief measures, but our jobs should be you have to ensure that our jobs are safe. You have to ensure that our salaries, which are at the pre-COVID level, are safe. If you are going to ensure this regarding payment of the tax to the government, we don't have a big concern. So these are my few suggestions on the economic and tax issues which are going to come out of this. Uh, we have any question? If you have any, I can answer. So my, if you have anything which you want to discuss with me, I may answer. You can put your uh, anything. I'm not having any question, so tell me. Should I conclude my discussion with you? Because I had tried to share with you that what are the economic and tax relief packages for taxpayers to fight COVID-19. So MSME issue we had discussed, and for MSME we require a relief package. Somebody was asking me about the MSME, so MSME issue we had discussed, and the job issue, the job losses issue we had discussed, and we demanded that 3 months, next 3 months salary to all MSME employees, 75% of that has to be borne by the government of India. So I don't have any question. Should I conclude? Is it okay to? I'm just dialing the. Neha, there is no question. So should I conclude? Okay. So There is last one question before conclusion. Somebody asked me that what about the extension of financial year? So I think how extension of financial year is going to help us, that is not something which I can understand. We require direct support. We don't require these artificial support like providing liquidity to banks. Now, Reserve Bank providing liquidity to banks at this point, how this is going to help you and me? How this is going to get grains in our kitchen? How this is going to have pulses in our kitchen? We require direct support, and for that matter, again and again we demanded that 7,500 rupees should be immediately transferred to each Janadhan account, to each PM Kisan account, to each pensioner account. Because if money is there in the bank accounts, then only the livelihoods can be saved, because massive retrenchments are going on. People are not able to get 90% of MSMEs in Uttar Pradesh had not paid the salary. This is the news of March month. So this extension of financial year, that's not going to have a direct impact to the, or that's not going to provide a direct relief to the middle class, middle income group population, not to corporate. Like you, many of us, we don't have any problem in our tax dues, but our job should be saved. We don't have any problem in our tax of financial year 20 to be paid, but there should not be any salary cut in our jobs. That's what is more concern. And Sashank Gussain is asking me that, sir, oil prices have plunged around. How it is going to be reflected in India? Shashank, unfortunately, in last 6+ years of the current government, they had never passed the relief or the fall in the oil prices to the consumer. The consumer is not provided with that particular relief, whether Brent oil, which is currently at $20, and the Texas WTI, that Texas index, that is at $0.77 per barrel. The Brent, which is a major oil in our portfolio of, or the composition of oil procurement, is at $20 per barrel. So what I mean to say, that they had not provided any relief, and for last 6+ years, more than 14 lakh crore, I am again repeating, 14 lakh crore, and the total size of economy budget of our country is around 28 lakh crore. So you can say that 1 year's half revenue of 1 year is collected in the form of extra additional excise duty on petrol and diesel. So at least now, when the Rabi crop is out, and we are about to start with our Kharif crop, and the diesel is mostly used by our farmers to be used in their tractors or other farm equipments while putting the seeds in the farms. So we had demanded that benefit. We are not saying you cut your excise duty, you carry on with your excise duty, but the benefit which you are going to have because of the fall in the oil prices should be immediately given, at least in diesel prices. In last 6 years, and this is an important data for all of you, 440% is the increase in the excise duty of diesel, 440, and for petrol it is 200% plus. So carry on with your excise duty, but if the crude prices are falling, even that benefit you are not giving to the farmers or to the middle income group people of our country, or the people who are using the petrol in their bikes or scooters. So that is what I will be answering. And then Rahul is telling, what is more difficult, handling an economy or handling someone like some name he had written. There is no answer to this, Rahul. I always used to give or speak not from my mind. I always used to speak from my heart. So there is no problem who whether somebody is appreciating or not in line. I speak what I consider is correct. So like I myself is telling that excise duty, if you don't want to reduce, do okay, but give the benefit of the fall in the crude prices to the farmers because the Kharif season is about to start, or at some places it had already started. Uh, Priyanshu is asking me, what about our banks? Their rating has been turned to negative. What should be the remedy to this, sir? For that purpose, Priyanshu, I gave one input which you had not noticed. I had advised the government that the losses which are there because of this COVID, these losses should be allowed to be absorbed by corporates in 3 years time period, because if you are going to have these losses booked in 1 year, your entire reserves and surplus or your entire equity is gone. So when your equity, your reserves and surplus are low, then naturally your market prices of that particular corporate or the market prices of that particular bank is also going to be low, and that is reflected in the rating. So that's what I'm saying, that losses because of this COVID should be allowed to be absorbed by banks or by any corporates or large corporates at least 3 years time. And second, for the tax purpose, I had gave one suggestion that there is 8 year window for set off. You can increase that window so that companies can carry forward the losses and they can set off the losses because of these things in from the profits of the future. And the last question I'm taking, because it's we have to conclude that, it's from Mr. Avinash Sharma. Sir, why the government is not emphasizing on the and do you think that this government is currently ignoring the economic crisis problem? Avinash, I don't want to blame the government at this scenario. I don't want to make this as a more political statement. I would like to answer your question from economic perspective, that government is not understanding that what is happening. That's all. Neither they are understanding the severity of disease. They started from 20th of March, whereas the disease had started in the China from the third week of December last year, and the world had started preparation, but we had not started preparation. In fact, it may sound a political statement to you, but that's the truth, that India is more prepared to welcome President Trump than to take care of this COVID-19 pandemic in our country. We are more prepared for that particular function. But anyhow, this is not the time to say anything. So they are not understanding. Like, I will give you an example for their poor understanding. That Reserve Bank of India is giving relief to the banks by giving liquidity. Any person who is sitting on this or who is hearing this, if you agree or disagree, please let me know. At this time of pandemic, do you expect any MSME or individual or corporate who is going to visit a nearest branch for a new loan? Do you think it is going to happen? Are you going to go for a new home loan? Is any MSME going for a new business loan? Is any corporate is going for a new working capital loan? So they are giving liquidity. I am telling that it's not a time of Reserve Bank monetary measures. It's a time for the fiscal measures, and fiscal measures were taken not by Reserve Bank of India, but by the government of India. So these fiscal measures require that immediately we should transfer money into the bank accounts of the people who require them. Maybe we can start with PM Kisan, Janadhan, pensioners, the migrant workers, Manrega job card holders. We require money in their accounts. So don't provide liquidity to banks, provide liquidity to farmers, provide liquidity to Jan Dhan account holders, provide liquidity to MSME employees, provide liquidity to Manrega job card holders. So that is what is an example of poor understanding of the issue by the government. I hope and I pray that the government is going to understand the issue now in a better manner and they will take a better decisions. I hope they, and I am very sure that people of our country and especially the young people which we call as a demographic dividend, so the young people of our country will take us out of this particular pandemic because we had a courage. India had a courage to tolerate, to face any kind of this pandemic, and we with our people are 100% aware that we are going to win this battle against the COVID-19. So thank you very much. I'm going to uh, disconnect my discussion. Thank you very much to the organizers who had organized this wonderful session. I hope I had answered many of your questions. See you soon at some other platform. Thank you.